We won't tell anyone that we got them, and
No, just hide them.
yeah, they'll be in the office. That's it.
Meant to be for the fitters. What gummy bears? What are you on about?
Yeah,
Exactly.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 5 of our kitchen design podcast. I'm Andy Brown from Artisan Interiors, and I'm joined, as always, by my co-director, Danny.
hello guys.
And this week's kitchen design podcast is all about downdraft extraction. So joining us this week is our special guest from the kings of downdraft extraction.
That's easy for you to say.
It won't go. It's Craig Thompson from Borah. Hello, Craig.
Hi everyone, how you doing?
All good, thanks, mate.
Thanks.
All good.
Good.
Craig's going to tell us a little bit about Borah and the history behind it, but quite simply, basically, Borah do downdraft extraction, and it's built into hobs. It's a fantastic brand. We're right behind it, fully committed to it here at Artisan.
My favourite kitchen toy in the showroom is the Borah Hob demo. Everyone makes fun of me for diving in every time somebody wants to show off a Borah. I'm always demoing it.
Danny is a self-confessed appliance nerd, but I think his favourite subject is Borah by far.
Borah. It's a good one to be obsessed with.
It is. It's super.
So, yeah, tell us a bit about yourself, Craig, and basically you just tell us a bit about Borah and how it all started.
So the history of Borah came from essentially solving an issue that there was in the kitchen. Our owner is a guy called Willie Brookbauer, and he was and still is a kitchen retailer. So in your guys' shoes, producing wonderful kitchens, and he identified very early on that the trend was going towards open plan living. And one of the issues, obviously, with that is extraction in a big space is difficult. The things that were on the market either weren't efficient enough or were right in front of your face, which meant that it was very obstructive when you were cooking. You'd hit your head off the extractor. I mean, I don't know how many times that I've hit my head off extractors in the past whilst cooking. It just really affected the experience of being in a space and enjoying it. So identifying that problem, Willie set about fixing it and producing something that genuinely did work. And that was 15 years ago now. And from then, we've obviously come on leaps and bounds in terms of our offering. The first system that we had on the market was the professional system, which started off as a prototype, which Willie then took to market and ran with. And from there, we've now obviously got our professional systems, our classic systems, and then our compact range as well. So from something, and Willie himself will profess that he never set out to create Borah. Borah just happened to him to solve a problem, and something that he believed in so much that he went all the way through from starting off with an idea and taking it to market and to where we are today.
So am I right in thinking that downdraft extraction was a thing at the time? It just wasn't very good.
It was, yeah, it was a thing. And one of the things that Willie did was identify the inefficiencies with what was around at the time. So obviously I spoke about the ceiling mounted extractors that were in front of your face. But at the time, the downdraft extraction that was on the market was inefficient due to there being a lot of right angles. The power wasn't sufficient in terms of expelling the air from the area around the hob to the outside or to away from the hob area. It all just didn't quite work. The idea was, in theory, a good idea, but it was never
worked upon.
It's the word. Yeah, it was never a big enough area of the market for someone to really dedicate enough time to solving the problems that were there. So they all kind of just happened, and nobody concentrated on fixing the one problem, which was around.
There are, of course, a lot of people, a lot of different brands copying, trying to copy the Borah brand at the moment. But problems we've found with it, because we can sell quite a few different products, but the thing we love about Borah is the engineering that goes into the ducting. So we know exactly how far we can go and how many bends we can go around.
So we're specialists.
Yeah.
It's all we concentrate on, and it is a specialism of its own. A lot of the other companies on the market that do a version of it do it as an offering in addition to the rest of their range. This is all we concentrate on, and it's what we do very, very well. And it's why we're the market leaders in it, because we are constantly innovating and learning about the most efficient way of producing the systems, which all does stem back from the history at the very beginning, that it solved a problem then, and rather than just standing still on it, we've continued to refine and make that system better to get where we are today. And obviously into the future, we are always innovating and pushing the systems as far as they can go.
Hey guys, before we go any further, I have a big favor to ask. Could you please like the video and subscribe to our channel? That would be amazing, and we can keep delivering this awesome content for you. But in the meantime, on with the show.
So there's obviously clear advantages having the downdraft, as you touched upon just now. With it's not that you don't bang your head on it. It's not in your line of vision. Obviously, another one, the vapors don't need to go past your line of vision to get to the extractor. So how does the downdraft extraction work?
So in essence, one of the very early things that Willie identified was that steam and grease rises upwards at about 1 meter per second. Steam obviously moves quicker than grease, but that was the sort of magic number that we needed to work to produce a motor that essentially pulled downwards quicker than steam and grease was rising upwards. In doing that, we create a cross flow across the top of the cooking area. That means that steam and grease can't go anywhere higher and then gets pulled downwards into the motor area. So all of our motors at the moment work at between sort of 5 and 6 meters a second downwards force. So in essence, they're overpowered for what they need to do, but it means that we are creating the biggest cross flow that we can to produce the most efficient systems that we can. And airflow is very king in that.
Yeah, and of course, what you're extracting isn't always necessarily right next to the extractor. If you've got a big pan, or either a very wide or a very tall pan, then those vapors are quite a distance from the extractor. So it does need that extra speed to really grab those for the furthest vapors and get everything down. But,
in essence, we say anything from sort of 1.2 meters from the floor should be drawn down into the extractor. And it's why you will always see us cooking at massive events such as Grand Designs or KBB or these sort of larger events, because actually the size of the room does not matter anymore. Because we are creating that cross flow at the hob level, the rest of the room doesn't impact on the performance of the extractor. Meaning that open plan living doesn't become an issue because the smells and vapors taken away at source, rather than other methods of extraction leave it to dissipate a little bit into the air before it gets taken away, which obviously is a big advantage of that sort of downdraft extraction at source level.
So always a big question on customers' lips, and they all kind of, some customers worry a little bit about recirculating filters. So does the Borah hob, do the Borah systems have to be ducted out, or can they be recirculated?
No, so you have a choice in both. So it obviously depends on the type of scenario that you're installing into. The duct length can impact upon it. Things like listed buildings obviously make ducting much more difficult proposition than recirculating. But all of our systems are available in both. The actual efficiency of the system is exactly the same whether you go for ducted or recirculating, because essentially the motor is identical in both scenarios. The only thing changes is what you do with the smell vapor, essentially.
I think you're pretty much unique there in the fact that every other extractor on the market, as soon as you turn it into recirculating and slow it down with a charcoal filter, is that the efficiency does drop, and the amount of air that it can move per second does drop. But
yeah.
With Borah, it stays the same, doesn't it?
It does.
And again, that's the technology in the actual filter as well, isn't it? Is there a lot to do with that?
Yes. So our charcoal filters are something that, again, we continue to refine. But if we take the charcoal filter in the Pure, or an X Pure, for example, it's a double-sided filter. So you have one side for your sort of everyday smells. And one of the things we identified is that fish smells have a slightly different makeup to your everyday cooking smells. So we have a side of the filter that's dedicated for fish smells. And it is something that we really concentrate on, is not restricting the airflow through that filter to just create the most efficient system that we possibly can. The idea is that you get the air from the air inlet nozzle through the system as quickly as you can. And yeah, it makes no difference whether it's ducted or recirculated. It just has to get through that system as quickly as it can.
So you were a kitchen designer. Sorry, Dan. So you were a kitchen designer before you worked for Borah. So what experience did you have with Borah before you?
So I've sold and spec'd Borah systems for about 5.5, 6 years before joining Borah. So I've got this sort of experience on the ground of sort of specifying it and using it. And I mean, it's one of the things that drew me to Borah was actually the company itself, and the quality of the product. It's something that you can really sort of believe in, and you know that when you're specifying it, it's a quality product. It's a specialist product that is always going to perform to the level that is required of it, which is obviously peace of mind for you guys designing the kitchens and selling the kitchens, but also for the end customer, knowing that they're putting something in that is genuinely going to work and genuinely going to work well for a long time. And that's one of the sort of great things of working with that specialist company like Borah, is you do get that peace of mind as well.
So how long do the filters last?
So it depends on what system you go for. Specifically, so if we take the Pure and the X Pure, for example, the filters in there last 150 hours, which it generally depends on obviously how long you cook and what you cook, but it lasts about 1 year to 1.5 years on average. Obviously, if you cook much more than that, you'll get through the filters quicker. The easiest, and because it's based on an hour, the easiest way, an hour rating, the easiest way to check is to obviously smell the filter itself and check before you replace. So you'll always have a countdown timer on the top of your hob that will tell you when you're getting close to your filter needing to be changed. And the easiest thing to do is take the filter out, smell it, and check. Because obviously 150 hours of boiling water for pasta is different to 150 hours of frying a steak. It depends on your style of cooking and what you do. When you go up to the classic and the professional systems, we do a different filter option. So you've got 2 filter options. One lasts 300 hours and one lasts 600 hours. So it obviously depends on planning, depends on what you want to put in, depends on the specification that you want to go for.
Is that
but you have options.
600 hours?
Yes. Wow. Yeah. So yeah, it's a system that lasts a while, and obviously means it requires a little bit more in terms of planning and designing in, but obviously then you're not having to change your filter as often as you would with one of the other filters. So you have endless possibilities essentially in terms of what you want to specify and how.
One of the big questions that's asked online, and we know what the answer is going to be, obviously, but a lot of people ask, should they use the Borah ducting if they buy a Borah hob? Should they? Is it essential that they use the Borah ducting rather than any other make?
It is, and this is what sort of makes Borah special as well. Is we're very, very keen on making sure that the whole system is as good as it can be. So rather than just giving you the hob and saying, there you go, and leaving you with no further support, we want to make sure that we're specifying the hob, we're specifying all the ducting all the way to the wall sleeve on the external wall of the building. It's something that our R&D department are constantly testing as well. So we produce all of our own ducting. We call it EcoTube. And we've identified that a lot of the issues that people had with downdraft systems in the past and with extraction as a whole is the quality of the ducting used. So people use flexi ducting, for example, where it gets crushed into a funny shape and it just restricts the airflow from getting through the duct. Things like there's some flat ducts on the market that you'd put underneath your concrete, for example. You'd pour the screed on top of it and you'd crush the square duct down into a sort of funny H shape, which obviously restricts airflow as well. So in doing that, we then identified that we needed to produce our own system that we had control over. So things like all the insides of our duct is really, really, really highly polished, which obviously means air flows through it and across it quicker. Our 90-degree bends all have fins within them. So one of the sort of big things with ducting is that on corners, the airflow gets caught on the insides of the corners. Whereas the fins that are in the inside obviously direct the airflow through the corner, meaning it goes as quickly as it possibly can through there.
So you're actually
increases the speed.
It creates sort of 4 or 5 corners, doesn't it, to spread the air around the corner rather than one
bouncing off one corner and around. Yeah, which just means that again, it's how quick we can get that air from the system to the outside wall.
Yeah.
Is the sort of key to any system working as efficiently as possible.
I mean, as fit as me and Danny have seen some shocking.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah.
So we know that we can go 6 meters up to 6 90-degree bends with a Borah hob, which is really, I think it's the only hob out there that can do that. But you can go further with that by reducing the bend. Is that correct?
You can, yeah. So every time you add or take away a bend, you can increase by a meter or decrease a meter. So, for example, we work 6 meters, 6 bends, but if you needed to go 8 meters with 4 bends, that's absolutely fine. As long as it adds up to 12 at the very end, then the system will be efficient. There is options as well on the classic and professional system to use more than one motor if needed. So, I mean, our planning department take it as a challenge a lot of the time if you give them something really, really complicated to do and solve. And this is where, as being specialists, comes in as well, in that we do have solutions for all of the ducting options that can be thrown at you. It's not always as straightforward as we'd like it to be. So having that peace of mind that there's backup to help is great.
Yeah, it's great for us as designers and specifiers to know that we can always send a project over to Germany and Borah, come back then with a ducting plan, and we know it's going to work. Which is great peace of mind. It's great for the customer as well. They're not just relying on us guessing, is this going to work or not? Because it's a lot of money to spend.
It is.
But if you put it in and it doesn't work.
Yes, definitely.
So Borah do prefer. They do say that that all of their hobs come with 100% clean air rate. So yes. What exactly does that mean?
So it's a very, very scientific way of essentially saying that you are cooking in clean air, and the room is going to be free of smells and anything else that sort of lingers in the air after you've finished cooking. So the sort of scientific side of it is that just trying to remember what it's called. You can cut this bit out. MEK rates. The MEK measures the amount of sort of smell that's left in the room after a cooking session, after you've had the extractor on, you've finished cooking, you've left the after run on, and it measures how much smell is left in the room. The Borah system produces 100% clean rate, so all of the MEK smell is gone and dissipated out of the room, which is the only system out there that means you are cooking in a space that is fully clean and fully there for you to sort of enjoy without smelling the fish that you cooked 10 minutes ago, 20 minutes ago.
Is there a piece of equipment for measuring that? I'm guessing.
There is a very, very complicated piece of equipment that they use for it. That obviously takes the air build-up and the air. What's the word that I'm looking for? It's gone.
It's in there somewhere.
Pollutants, maybe. Air pollutants.
The sort of air makeup as a whole, and then finds the smell particles within the air itself. So in a lot of instances, if you didn't have any extraction at all, afterwards there'd be lots of those particles sort of floating around. Whereas when you measure the air makeup afterwards, after a Borah system's been used in that space, it removes all of those sort of smell particles from the space.
We do cooking demos quite often here. And the room where all of our Borah systems are in has no windows. So, and they're all recirculating. And it really is just quite crazy at the end of the day once you finish doing all of the cooking, put everything away, and you can't smell that we've even been cooking.
You can't smell anything. Yeah.
No,
and it's one of those things with cooking demos is that at the end of it, you have to point out to someone that you can't smell the food on yourself. Normally, when you're stood cooking, if you're cooking something like a steak, for example, you're going to smell like the steak normally in most scenarios. Whereas with a Borah system,
and we've all done a fry up on a Sunday morning, and the house still smells of it. But at night time, it just lingers in your curtains and your carpets, and not that I have this issue, but in your hair.
Well, you can get it in your beard.
In the beard.
Like their hair smelling of bacon when they've had a fry in the morning.
Yeah, but this means that you don't have that issue. And one of the big advantages, obviously, of downdraft cooking is that fresh air. Is that when you are actually cooking, you are cooking in fresh air. You're not cooking in the smell of steam or grease going into your face while you're cooking. You're not sort of standing there essentially getting everything in your face, over yourself, in your clothes, as you said. You're cooking in fresh air.
And I think when we talk about the advantages of a downdraft over an overhead extraction, as well as it being design-wise, it's a lot better to look at. There's nothing obtrusive hanging down from the ceiling, but just the fact that those vapors they're being ducted out at source, so they're not getting into the air. You can have the best extractor in the ceiling, but though all of those vapors are passing you, being stood in front of the hob, they're passing you, so you are going to get some particles, smell particles stuck to your clothes and your hair, and so that's a massive advantage for us.
And it's open to outside sources as well. The further it goes away from the source, the more open it is for someone walking past and wafting loads of grease and air particles across the room. people opening a window and blowing across the cooking area.
And they do say overhead extraction should be started at about 20 minutes before you start cooking. Is that right, Dan?
Yeah.
Yeah, they say if you ever read the instructions, but nobody reads instructions for an extractor. They just turn them on, but you're supposed to run them for 20 minutes before you start cooking, and leave them on for 20 minutes after you've finished, because they work on air changes to the room.
Yeah.
So they work on cubic meterage of air change. But that's because everything gets into the air in the first place. But this is the great thing, because Borah literally don't need to work on how many room changes per hour. Because they've got it doesn't get into the air.
It's a source. Yeah. It's why that cubic meters an hour in the past, when you were specifying extraction for a space, you'd work out the cubic meter of the room, and then you had to work out whether the motor was going to be efficient enough for the room. Whereas, now it's the cubic meterage of a motor means nothing.
Well, you don't want to clean the air in the room. You just want to clean the air
above your hob. Yeah. Because in most open plan spaces now, you'd need a motor that was producing something ridiculous like 3,000 meters cubed an hour to actually clean a space properly. But no one would manufacture that.
The other great thing as well is with islands and everybody cooking on the islands. It's quite popular now to have higher ceilings and vaulted ceilings and put Velux windows in. There's no overhead extractor that you can actually physically hang that low enough to get it to work on a lot of projects. So it's great to just go on the island. You don't have to have anything. You can just put a nice decorative light hanging as you want just above it. But
from a design point of view, it just opens up complete freedom to do what you want to do with it. When I was obviously designing, one of the banes of your life was putting a hob on an island, and if someone really did want ceiling extraction, you were specifying lighting around that, which you from a design point of view, you don't want to be doing that. You want to be able to have freedom to put pendant lights where you want to put pendant lights. Whereas with obviously downdraft extraction, you are just literally sorting the area in front of you, and that's it. And gives you as much scope as you want.
Literally anything you want above your hob, then you could have a glass chandelier and it'll just stay pristine.
It'd be fine. It would. Yeah, definitely.
So how much does a Boar hob cost? Let's get to the nitty gritty, because it's the
nitty gritty.
The number one question on everyone's lips.
The number one question. So in essence, a pure starts at, including the VAT, just under £2,500.
So the pure is the sort of the entry level Boar hob.
The entry level into Borah, yeah. So that is the compact system. So with the compact systems, Borah can claim to have invented that technology. So all the downdraft systems on the market previously were either modular systems or the rise and fall extraction that you see behind a hob. Borah did invent that all-in-one compact system where your extractor module is built into the hob itself. So the pure is the entry level into the Borah range. So you have 4 dedicated zones with that one. And that starts at about £2,500, including the VAT, with a little bit more if you go for the recirculated option. And then we have the X Pure, which is the next sort of hob up in the
next
system.
Step on the Borah ladder.
It is, yeah. Still part of the same compact family, but the main difference being that you go from 4 dedicated cooking zones to 4 induction pads, which you can then put as many pans as you can fit on there. Essentially, flexi zone hob.
What everybody wants.
Yeah, you can bridge those zones as well. So in essence, you've got on either side 2 zones that are 23 centimeters by 46 centimeters, which is a huge cooking capability. You can put as many pans on, as I said, you can fit on there. And one of the big things with Borah is making sure that you have enough space to cook. although we want the system to be as efficient as possible, and we want that to be the key, we still want you to be able to use the systems properly and be able to cook what you need to cook. So we always work on the principle of 424, we call it. So in essence, on all of our systems, on the compact systems, you'll be able to cook with 424 centimeter pans, which is unique to us on the market. No one else gives you that much cooking space and scope for cooking space.
And it is a fantastic cooking space. And a lot of people do think that they need 5 or 6 zones, but very, very, very rarely would you use more than 4 24-inch pans. I mean, that's a fantastic.
That's a lot of cooking area. It is. And those induction pads on the X-Pure, for example, you can quite easily fit 3 pans down one side and 3 pans down the other, so which essentially gives you a 6-zone hob. So there's the flexibility and freedom to use them as efficiently as you can in terms of space.
Yeah.
Moving on up the next model, then the Classic 2. What is the main difference between the compact models and the Classic 2?
So when you go to the Classic systems, you get a little bit more freedom in terms of specification. So the Pure and the X-Pure are induction only. The Classic system then opens you up to really customizing what you want to have on your hob. So it's a modular system. So you have the possibility for induction, you have gas modules, you have a tepan, which is very, very popular.
I love my tepan.
The tepan's amazing. Once you see the tepan in action, you'll never go back. And then you have the extraction module itself. So you can build up your own system to as many cooktops, as many extraction modules as you want to have, and gives you full freedom then.
So if you can't decide between gas and induction, you can have one of each.
One of each, yeah.
Of the extractor.
Yeah, either side. It does give you the biggest amount of freedom there, and it is for that customer that, as you say, can't decide or isn't fully on the induction bandwagon yet and still wants that gas element. But also the customer that sees the tepan and loves it and wants that tepan with the extraction module and then a surface induction, for example.
The Classic 2 looks fantastic, doesn't it?
It does.
It's a massive improvement on the Classic 1. But I think one of the biggest improvements, because people do worry that, or there's a lot of questions asked about using a downdraft extraction with a gas hob. And it used to be a bit of an issue because I remember using the cover plate sort of sat to the side
on
of
the side,
hob to stop the air flowing down. But Borah have overcome that now with a really nifty design. So just talk to us about that.
Yeah, so as you say, in the past, you used to have to have a block essentially to stop the airflow pulling the flame towards the downdraft extractor module. We've now actually dropped the gas inlet down below the surface, so the actual flame is produced at surface level of the glass, which means that obviously there's no pull of that gas flame anymore.
Yeah,
the pull of the extractor is all at the height of the pan rest now, which alleviates that issue that we did find, and obviously gives you that really nice slick flat design now that you don't have to have that block anymore that was there in the past. But yeah, the gas cooktop looks amazing. I mean, it's incredibly easy to clean as well. The cast iron pan rests can just go in the dishwasher. The whole system just lifts off, put it in the dishwasher, and it's clean. And then you just wipe over the black glass top and you're away.
So we've got one more on the list in the range, which is the Professional.
It is, yeah.
Which we love. Danny loves using here in the showroom. He's always
the god of all hobs.
Yeah. The Professional's very special. So the Classic's a modular system, but top controlled. So the control module is on the extractor module itself. So that learns and knows what the cooktop's you connect it to are. With the Professional system, it's a modular cooktop again, but now it's front controlled. So we have just launched the Professional 3.0, which is the third iteration of the Professional system. And we've really enhanced that control knob on the front. So it's now a full touch screen LED black glass display, really easy to view, really easy to control. You literally turn the mechanism to turn your cooktop up and down. It's a really nice knurled stainless steel control block, and you can remove it for cleaning. When you remove it, you can really tell the quality of it from just the weight of the control knob itself. Still a modular system, but now instead of the Classic is more of a standard depth cooktop, our Professional systems are 54 centimeters deep, which makes them the deepest cooktops on the market, which then gives you obviously the added space that you may require, and gives you even more cooking space and cooking possibilities on there, especially with the Tepan. You get that extra little bit of cooking area.
Yeah, we've got them side by side in as you've seen this weekend, last week.
Yes,
in the showroom. So you can just show the difference in the size. It does make a difference on the Tepan with the cooking surface area.
It does, yeah.
It's a real man toy, I think.
We get a lot more steaks on the Professional than we do on the Classic.
They're bringing the barbecue indoors. It's just so good.
The bug, yeah, it is. And as with the Professional, similar to the Classic, you have the option of gas. You have the Tepan. You have the surface induction. We do produce ceramic for both options as well. I know ceramic cooktops are getting less popular now, but there's the opportunity if someone really does want that ceramic.
I think the one thing people worry about with induction hobs is if they've got a pacemaker.
It is, yeah.
And it's not sort of cut and dry, but it is. If you are worried about having an induction hob, then yeah, the ceramic is a great choice.
Yeah, it's peace of mind as well for people if they want to go down that route. But yeah, the Professional 3.0 is the sort of all singing, all dancing, premium cooktop. And once you use it, you really do appreciate that level of quality and design that goes into the Professional. So things like the automatic cover flap on there. Just when you switch the extractor module on, the cover flap opening automatically is just a really nice little feature. And as you said, it's a very sort of masculine man toy. It feels like, I mean, the control system on the front feels like something you'd get in a sort of a really highly engineered sports car.
Well,
that sort of level of quality.
All of the housewives love it because it does encourage all their husbands to get in the kitchen and do a bit more cooking. So
definitely.
Yeah.
So where are we price wise? We've talked about all the models now. We did talk about the price of the Pure being about just under 2,500. So what about the rest of the ranges? Where do they stack up?
So the X Pure, you're looking at about the £3,500 mark, including VAT. You then go up to a Classic system. So obviously with the Classic, it depends on the setup that you go for, but they start at about £5,000, including the VAT.
But we have so there are specified packs which work out cheaper than buying them individually, isn't there?
Individually, yeah. So you have the option of, as you say, the sets which put together our most popular configurations for both the Classic and the Professional, and they start at about £5,000, but it depends on what it is that you want to actually go with. And then the Professional systems start at about £7,000. Again, then depends on how big or what you want to specify. You can obviously continue going with as many cooktops and extractor modules as you want to go to. depending on what you want to specify and spend.
Yeah, and we've had customers have two professional hobs, so giving them 4 cooktops, but they love it.
I've just done a Pro 3, a 3-plate Pro 3 with a tap pan and 2 surface induction. So it's a real load of cooking space on that. That's our first Pro 3 as well, so I can't wait to get that ordered up.
It is amazing. The control system, you can really tell the sort of upgrade and the extra work that's gone into it from the Pro 2 to the Pro 3. It is a really great piece of kit.
Now, one of the big drawbacks with overhead extraction is the fact that you've got to keep that grease filter nice and clean. So although for a recirculating hob, you have a charcoal filter, which you can't clean, that you just replace. But there is, in every extractor, there's a grease filter which catches the biggest particles. But if it's overhead, it's just really difficult to clean. So how easy is the Borah system to clean?
So incredibly easy. It's all accessed from that inlet nozzle on the top. So if we take the Pure or the X-Pure as an example, it's as easy on all of our systems. You take the air inlet nozzle off the top, which is the circular piece in the middle, and then underneath there's a basket that has the grease filter in. So you pull that out, you literally put them both in the dishwasher, and that's your cleaning done on it. You'd obviously give the top a quick wipe, and then you're away. How often you do that depends on what it is you're cooking and sort of your day-to-day schedule. Most people tend to do it every time they finish their evening meal because it's a really easy process to do. But if you're boiling pasta, as I said earlier, or boiling water, going through it, it's not going to get as blocked up as it would if you're frying a steak, for example. But yeah, it's very easy to actually clean, very easy to take out, put in the dishwasher, clean it through, drop it back in, and you're away for your next cooking session.
And the same with the classic and the professional.
Yeah, same with the classic and the professional. Really easy, just accessed from the top. Remove the air inlet nozzle. There's slightly different shapes in the classic and the professional, but exactly the same principle, straight in the dishwasher. All of our filters are complete stainless steel, so they're not going to rust in the dishwasher. They're designed that you can put them in the dishwasher over and over and over and over again, and they'll never degrade or rust or warp or discolor. They're designed for that use. And
you could buy spares just in case you want to have one in the dishwasher and one in the machine.
Yeah, we've got a Borah lab down in London, and we have 2 sets for all of our cooktops. We're always cooking and doing demos in there and doing training sessions, customer demos. So we'll always have one in the drawer, so that when one comes out and goes in the dishwasher, we can replace it and keep on top of it. So yeah, it's always there and always available to order extras.
Well, I think we've burned through all of our questions, and
cooked through them.
We're massive fans.
Cooked through the questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're huge fans of the Borah here in the showroom. In fact, we've taken all but one of our overhead extractors out of the showroom now. Such is our commitment to downdraft extraction.
And our belief in Borah's main principle of becoming the death of the overhead extractors.
Yes, that's the key word, death of the overhead extractor.
Yeah, we've literally just done that to our showroom anyway. So
yeah,
we'll shift the Borah hob with virtually every single kitchen.
Yes, yeah.
It's just the fact that Borah concentrate number one on extraction. Is their primary. We like products that work. It doesn't. I mean, the fact that they look great as well is just a bonus. But the first iterations, obviously, they don't look as good as the later versions. But it just works. It's when you concentrate on the practical side of it first, and then get the design right. That's the way to go. So for us, we like selling products that work. They do exactly what they're meant to do. It does what it says on the tin, and it really is a fantastic product to use.
Yeah.
So we will continue championing the Bora Hob.
Good.
And it's great to speak to you, Craig. Thanks for your time.
Yeah, no, thank you very much for having me on.
You're welcome.
I'm sure we'll see you in the showroom again sometime soon.
See you very soon.
Yeah,
In fact, as soon as it's possible, we're going to get a Bora demo day organised.
Big party day.
Yeah,
party day.
Can't wait.
So
we're allowed to get back on the hob plates again.
Get the steaks.
Won't be too long now. Yeah.
So
do a full
forward to that.
Full meal. Yeah.
Yeah. So until then, it's goodbye from me.
Yeah, goodbye from me.
And goodbye. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome.
Cheers, Greg. And
cheers.
We'll see you all again next week. Bye for now.
Bye for now.